Hey guys, welcome back. Today has been such a beautiful day, but oh my gosh, it's starting to warm up and I can start to feel it. I don't know if you guys are feeling it where you're at, but I'm certainly like, I need to get out and plant things earlier in the morning because it's getting harder and harder to do this during the day. But today I'm excited because we have some beautiful things to get in the ground. If you guys recall, I went to that sale at a local garden center and I picked up so many beautiful plants that I was like, I'm gonna get them planted that weekend. And I ended up not getting them planted that weekend, but we are getting them planted today. So I have some things to plant out here in the front garden and we have some things to plant out in the back. We are going to be working right here in the side garden on the other side of our house. And as you recall, we used to have that fountain bowl, or that, I think it was like the base of a fountain. And I talked to you guys about getting rid of it and you guys had so many great suggestions. We thought about doing succulents. It was a very shallow, I think it was maybe like 8 inches tall, if I recall correctly. But anyways, the problem with doing the succulents was it doesn't drain very well. So it was just taking up this space, and I put it up on OfferUp for free and somebody came and got it like the very next day. And I was confident they were not going to be able to move it, but they did. A couple of guys came and they took it. They're also gardeners, so they were excited to have something like that for their garden. So I'm so happy with this space because this just opens this area up for us, and I'm just like, what are we gonna do over here? I'm so excited. I have a few things fun in mind for this space. I'm thinking definitely like a shrub, maybe a hydrangea, maybe an oak leaf hydrangea. I don't know yet. So I'm just kind of like sitting with the space for a little bit before I really commit to dropping something right in that spot. Anyways, one of the things that we picked up at the sale were these beautiful sunflowers from Proven Winners. And these are annuals. And I've never grown them before. I've seen them in other gardeners' garden. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally get to grow these in my own garden. I'm so, so excited. And it's funny because last year we grew a lot of sunflowers. I think I planted, oh gosh, I think it was like 450 different sunflowers. Not different sunflowers, but sunflower seeds, different varieties. Anyways, a bunny came out. I call him, I think, what do I call him? Peter the rabbit. I don't know what I call him. But anyways, he came and he ate every single one of them. Like, didn't even like keep me in mind, just went for it. Like, had a buffet. I basically planted this buffet for this bunny. And he, like, within 2 days ate everything. And I was like, are you kidding me? You couldn't leave me like 5 or like 10? And I guess he did leave me one though. There was one left by one of our sweet pea trellises. And I just thought, really? You left me one? Not even my favorite one. So I was so bummed out and I felt so deprived of sunflowers. And the year before that, we did have some sunflowers, but not quite as good as a few years back. So anyway, so I feel like I'm deprived of sunflowers. So these are definitely going to fill in that void. I do have some seeds that we're going to be planting out as well. A little bit late, but I think if I start getting them in now and just do like a succession planting of maybe like every 2 weeks, I think we'll have a really pretty show. Of course, I hope the bunny doesn't come back, because if he does, then there goes our sunflowers again. So I'm looking at the plant tag here, and these will require full sun. Where we're planting them, they're pretty much going to get full sun, with the exception with the ones that we plant right here next to our Chinese dogwood. But for the most part, this space does get full sun, or at least in the strip here that we're gonna be planting them in. These will also get 24 to 36 inches tall and 18 to 24 wide. So these are going to be an annual, except in zones 9 through 11. So if you are in one of those zones, these will probably come back for you next year, which is very exciting. Now, there are a few cool things about these sunflowers. One, they are branching, which means they are going to produce a lot of sunflowers versus the ones that you grow from seed, or a lot of varieties anyway that you grow are usually like a one stem, one flower type of deal, where this one is branching. And the other cool thing about this plant is you don't have to deadhead it in order for it to continuously bloom. Of course, I will probably come in and just deadhead just to keep it tidy. And they bloom from spring all the way into fall for us, which I still can't wrap my mind around that, because like there's no, I guess, I don't know of any other plant like this one specifically, like a sunflower like this. So I'm very excited to have them in our garden. I can't wait to get them planted up. This is not something permanent that I want to do in this space. However, I found these and they were on like mega sale and I was like, Absolutely, yes. And I think these will work in the landscape, but I also think they look so gorgeous, like as a border or like a hedge of them, like near a fence. You could also tuck them in behind in a bed because they're going to pop out and they're just going to be so beautiful. So I think they're going to be very versatile plants for us. For me, I just want to have them over here because this area was empty and I thought, let's bring some flower power to this side of the house. So let's get these planted up and then we will move to the back to continue planting some other things in the back garden. All right, I'm pretty happy with the placement of these. So let's go ahead and get them planted. Of course, my battery died. All right, back in business. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of starter fertilizer in each hole here to get them going. Look at those nice, beautiful roots. Wow. Those are definitely ready to be in the ground. All right, these look so great back here. It just instantly makes this side of the garden happier. This motivates me to come out. I have to get some things cleaned up over here. I had this huge container here for like, I don't even know how long at this point. And I wanted to plant a tree in it and I was going to stay in that spot. However, now I kind of want to plant something in ground, scratch the container idea, but I'm not committed yet because I still want to come in and I have to prune some of these roses back. Our neighbors' roses are just, they're making their way over. So I want to cut those back for them because I would also like to add a climbing rose to the fence out here and have it climb kind of towards the back garden. And eventually the new fence that we're going to place back there. Anyways, so this whole area still needs a bit of work. It's kind of like a mishmash of, you know, different things. We still need to reel up the hose. I don't even know why that hose is there, to be honest. But anyways, we need to take that out. And then of course this area now, I think I just need to sit on it for a little bit, but there's definitely room to come in and plant some beautiful things back here. This part of the garden gets afternoon shade, as you can tell. So I think, I don't know, I think that's why I'm kind of leaning on a hydrangea back here. It's just something beautiful, something that will get kind of big but not overpowering, especially because once our dogwood is done blooming, it's kind of empty back here and I've always just tucked annuals throughout here. Anyways, lots of room for opportunities, but in the meantime, these little sunflowers are just bringing me so much joy. They really, really are. Like, I'm just so excited about these, you guys. I'm going to treat these as annuals, so I'll make sure to come in once a week, at least once a week, and fertilize them with a water-soluble fertilizer, just to make sure they have continuous food to continue pumping out blooms for us all season long. Again, the fact that they bloom from spring all the way until fall, like, why didn't I get these sooner? I wish I would have gotten these sooner because they are such a good performer in the garden. Now, if you are somebody like me that's going to want to keep your plants tidy, I'm going to come in and just deadhead everything when it's done blooming. So for example, this flower here, once this is done blooming, I will just come back to where it forks off to a new flower and just cut it right there. That way there's nothing dead staying back. It just stays nice and clean and tidy all season long. I'm excited to see these start putting on a little bit more size, just because I think it's going to be such a beautiful color show. And bonus point, Mom loves sunflowers. I think they're her favorite flower. So I'm excited to show her these once we are done planting today. I'm gonna bring her out to show her them. Anyways, let's go to the backyard and start planting there. All right, here are some of the other perennials and annuals that we're gonna be planting out in the back garden today. I did have some others that I wanted to plant out, but I think I might reserve those for the side garden. So let's work with these first, and then we'll see how we feel afterwards. So here's another one that we picked up together at that sale. This is a Digiplexus Berry Canary. So this is a foxglove hybrid, and it is hardy for us in zones 8 through 11, meaning it will come back for us. If you live in a colder climate, you can dig it up and overwinter it indoors, or you can try to leave it out, but just mulch it very heavily, like with leaf mulch. That should do the trick. I've had these before in our garden, and they're beautiful. I don't know why, what happened to it actually? That is a good question. I don't know if we just didn't have drip running to it in the first year. No, because it was there for 2 years. I'm not sure why. Anyways, foxglove are one of my favorite flowers. I think they're so striking with their beautiful long stems and these plumes of all of these little flowers, and the bees love them so much. I was so inspired by all of the ones that I saw at the Chelsea Flower Show this year, and it just made me want to add even more into our garden. There's a lot of varieties that I want to start from seed this next year and plant out in our garden next year. I think they're one of the ultimate cottage flowers to have in your garden. And I know they are toxic to human and animals. I've never had any issues with them. So anyway, so we're gonna plant these 3 today. And then I have this beautiful Supreme Cantaloupe coneflower, and just look at that flower. Tell me that doesn't look like a cupcake. These are so fun. These are going to be some tall varieties. They will get 2 to 3 feet tall and 1 to 2 feet wide. They're hardy all the way to zone 4 and require full sun. We already have some of these in our garden, and I just think they're so beautiful. These are actually from last year that I didn't plant. I think I went back and got more. And finally, I have this black-eyed Susan named Maya, and look at how beautiful those little flowers are. These are such a great reseeder. Let's see. These are going to require full sun to partial sun. They're going to bloom midsummer to fall. They grow 24 to 36 inches tall, 24 inches wide, and they're hardy in zones 4 to 9. Which that's pretty good. And they're just such a happy little flower. I'm going to plant this under one of our maples, and I do have some annuals to plant, but I think let's start with these first, see how far we get, and then we will see if we have time to get any annuals in the ground. Now the foxglove, I just want to spread throughout the garden. I'm thinking back here would be a good one, and I do have to cut these back because they're looking pretty spent, but the bees are still going for them. I'm also thinking right back here behind our maple. I'll bring you guys here in just a sec. Right back here by our Japanese pine. Well, I had a lovely time, truly. That was so peaceful. I don't know what it was about planting these today, but it was just calm and quiet out today. And I just had a really fun time getting these in the ground. Let's start out here with the foxglove. I went ahead and planted one right here by our peony, and then we have our Japanese pine. And I'm always hesitant to plant too close to our shed because we are adamant about changing the siding on this shed. And that is a project I think we are going to try and tackle ourselves later this year, maybe in August, I'm not sure yet. Because what I'd like to do is make the window, like change out the window. I want a bigger window there. So I'm trying not to be too, not to crowd this area too much. However, I do have some big plans to plant right outside the shed, which I'm so excited about. Like, I am bringing my own little English cottage countryside right here to Oregon. And over here is where we have our other foxglove. And again, it's just about adding, for me anyways, adding some more vertical flowering perennials. That way in the springtime, when everything is just kind of starting to open up, but not quite, we're going to start to see these vertical flowers popping up. And that's what I'm really excited about. So it doesn't look like much now, but you know, you have to just think about the seasons and how things bloom throughout the year. That way you have interest all season long. And then the last one is tucked in right back here, which that one's a little bit tougher to see, but it's just tucked away right over there. Now again, those are pretty spent and I will come in and deadhead them, but the bees are still going after it, so I'm gonna let them do their thing and then I'll come in and just cut off those blooms. The springtime is when they're really put on the show, and it's kind of like one of those colors and one of those things that we're lacking in our garden, more vertical flowering interest in the springtime. That's why I really want to add more foxglove everywhere, just because they're so easy and they're so impactful and they bloom for such a long time. So I'm super thrilled about these three here. And in terms of maintenance, again, I'm just going to cut them back and then I will give them a little bit of flower tone just to make sure they have plenty of food, just to put on some more size and really start pumping out more blooms for us. Right back here next to our magnolia, this is like what I like to call the magnolia garden. Just everything that we plant over here, I always refer to the magnolia garden to Sergey. Anyways, we planted the 3 cantaloupe echinacea. I think these are so pretty. I thought about putting them kind of in a triangle or maybe like a diamond shape, but I left them kind of in a swoop back there. That way we can come in with some low growing annuals if we want, or maybe even some ground cover around here. And this still leaves this open area to add some more perennials. I just think this is so beautiful, especially how it contrasts our red bud right here. I'm just really into the dark burgundy color, like the jewel tones. So I think adding more of that in combination with the peachy tones, that's just like my vibe right now. And I think also because we saw so many gardens, again at Chelsea, that had those colorways that just, like, it took my breath away in the best way. So I'm definitely trying to emulate some of that in our own garden. And echinacea are super low maintenance for us. I'll cut them back in late winter time. I usually leave the seed heads on for the birds and like wildlife. And then I will just cut them back when they're completely spent and there's nothing left. And to keep them reblooming, I'll just deadhead them. That way they're constantly pumping out bloom now through the fall time. The other bonus with them is they make such a great cut flower. I love using them in cut flower arrangements and they last such a long time in a bouquet. And finally, we have the Maya Black-Eyed Susans right over here. I think that, again, contrasting colors, the yellow with the dark from our maple is just such a beautiful contrast. And I really wish I would have gotten a few more just to plant all the way around. The maple would have been really nice, but I want to leave these up because I hope that they'll self-seed everywhere over here, because I would love to have just like a mass planting of them. Again, great little cut flower, a repeat bloomer for us. They're really not fussy. They're pretty low maintenance. Once they shoot up all of their blooms, I will cut them back down and then they'll reflush again. Not as strong usually as the first round of blooms, but nonetheless, they are such a good flower in the garden. Anyways, that will wrap it up for today's projects. I'm so happy with the way everything turned out. I did have some annuals that I wanted to get planted up, but I'm just so happy right now that I just want to like come back out, maybe grab a drink. I'm really craving like a watermelon drink drink, get that, come back out and just enjoy the garden before the evening ends, just because it's been, again, such a lovely day planting. We didn't do a ton of planting, but nonetheless, like things that will slowly start making an impact in our garden. And it just feels good just to get after some of these things, especially some of these perennials that we've just been like having. I mean, some of them are new, but some of the other ones that I need to get in the ground are from last year. And I'm just like, just slowly start planting them. Slowly start planting your pile, and it's not gonna feel as overwhelming. Anyways, I hope you guys are all having a beautiful day and a great start to your week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today in my garden, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.